Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover today, starting with another Helldivers 2 update. Yet another Warbond has been released by Arrowhead Studios over on the PlayStation blog. They say Helldivers 2 Servants of Freedom Warbond launches February 6th. And so if you've been playing Helldivers 2 and you've been kind of playing through these Warbonds, you basically already know what to expect. And so I'll have the image up on screen or the trailer that they released playing in the background. And yeah, let me know down below if you are still playing Helldivers 2. I feel like this is a game that is still going strong. You know, when we talk about Sony's live service push, everything else they seemingly have tried to do has not worked. But Helldivers 2 is definitely that one bright spot that I think is continuing to get really solid support. And yeah, players seem to be pretty happy with it. We're going to move on to the next topic, though, which is an interesting one that talks about the PlayStation 6 and how, according to Shawn Layden, he believes that Sony is not going to go the digital-only route. Being reported by WCCF Tech, says an all-digital future may still be far away for Sony, as the PlayStation 6 will likely not be a completely discless console, according to SIE Worldwide Studios' former CEO Shawn Layden. In a new interview with Kiwi Talks, the former PlayStation executive commented on the PlayStation 6, saying that he does not think Sony can get away with releasing a discless console. Xbox has had more success with the strategy, as they are mostly successful in markets such as the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, where conditions were better suited for the jump. Sony, on the other hand, is the #1 platform in around 170 countries around the world, and has an obligation to evaluate how many of the markets they are successful in would be able to make the jump into an all-digital future. In addition, the former executive also highlighted how PlayStation consoles are popular in military bases, where there's often no internet connection, and with athletes who bring the systems with them to hotels where downloading tens, if not 100 plus gigabytes would be extremely inconvenient. With their market being so huge, Shawn Layden ended, it will be hard for them to release a completely discless PlayStation 6. Now, we have to keep in mind that Shawn Layden no longer works at Sony or PlayStation, but at the same time, he is somebody with a deep insight into how Sony operates and what goes behind their decision-making. So I would say that this is something that is very likely going on right now behind the scenes with the decision-making that Sony is kind of going through, you know, leading up to the PlayStation 6. And so I think Sony deciding to go all digital with the PlayStation 6 would be a huge mistake. But I do wonder how they're going to handle it. Are we going to see like a PS5 Pro situation where the PS6 is going to be all digital, but you can buy the disc drive separately? Or if you already have a disc drive for the PS5, you can kind of detach it and move it over to the PlayStation 6? Or will they just release a unit that has a disc drive? I personally hope that's what they choose to do, but the only thing I really care about at the end of the day is that Sony does not abandon you know, physical games and physical media with the PlayStation 6 generation. I think it's just too soon, and it makes me, I guess, feel a little bit more confident that that won't happen, considering Shawn Layden is kind of laying out, you know, a good reason, a very good reason why Sony would probably opt to not do that. But we're going to move on to the next topic here, which is a rumor coming from Lunatic Ignis, where he says that a new trailer for Lost Soulside has been uploaded to YouTube, but it is currently set to private. Now, the timing of this is interesting because in yesterday's video, we covered the fact that Nate the Hate states that there's going to be a new state of play next week between February 9th and February 15th. So now that we're hearing that a new Lost Soulside trailer has apparently been updated, I guess it would be kind of safe to assume that this would show up at the State of Play. It is worth noting that Lost Soulside is currently slated to release this year, and it is being published by Sony. So it seems like it's going to be potentially one of the bigger titles that launches for them this year. But there you go. I just wanted to give you that update. We're going to move on to the next topic, which talks once again about Steam making their own console, or Valve making a Steam console, I should say. Being reported by WCCF Tech, it says, according to a new rumor, Valve might be making a new Steam console. The info was relayed by renowned Spanish leaker Ecstasis, although it originates from the owner of HandleDeck.com, who found out that Valve is working on drivers for the upcoming RDNA 4-based AMD Radeon RX 9070 graphics cards due next month. Here's the translated excerpt. It turns out that Valve is openly working on drivers for the AMD 9070 graphics cards. These cards are currently designed just for desktop devices. These AMD 9070s are the first to feature RDNA 4 technology and FSR 4. So yeah, that's the scoop. This RDNA 4 architecture is currently designed only for desktops. It's expected that many years down the line, it might make its way to portable devices, but right now, it's strictly desktop. Valve is already working on it. In fact, from what my friend has heard, Valve is putting a lot of effort into the drivers for these RX 9070 GPUs with RDNA 4, and the question he raises in his tweet, which we all might be wondering, is why Valve is so interested in collaborating on this. This specific kind of graphics card and this particular AMD architecture, especially knowing that most of the graphics used on Steam are from NVIDIA, raises an interesting point. One of the main reasons this might be happening, and here's the juicy part, especially after the recent Xbox news, is that Valve, the company behind Steam, is internally working on desktop consoles that will be branded with the SteamOS license. It looks like Valve might be considering AMD's 9070 graphics card as the main core for their desktop console. The code name for Valve's Steam console is currently Fremont, but we don't know what it's actually going to be called. It's also possible that they could use this graphics card to create some sort of external GPU for the Steam Deck 2, or it might just be for third parties to build their own stuff. So this is yet another rumor that is claiming behind the scenes Valve is working on a Steam console. Now, I find this interesting because it seems like there are many conversations going on these days that talk about the idea of the console pretty much dying or withering away, being reduced, being less relevant than ever before. But if that were the case, why would Valve choose to make a home console? It seems like if that was true, that consoles are really going away and just not going to be relevant at all, they wouldn't choose to do that. But it seems they are. So we'll just kind of leave it here. I will continue to keep you guys updated. It will be a very interesting day when Valve decides to announce a new home console that is meant to compete with PlayStation and Xbox. Will be very interesting indeed. But continuing to talk about consoles, we have another update regarding the Nintendo Switch and how it has officially passed 150 million units sold. I'm sure Sony is not too thrilled with this, considering just how close this console is now to surpassing the PS2. Being reported by WCCF Tech today, Nintendo announced a major new sales milestone reached by its Nintendo Switch console, which has surpassed 150 million units sold. To be precise, the Japanese company said 150.86 million units of the hybrid handheld/home console had been sold as of December 31st, 2024. So, yes, we know that not that long ago, Sony came out of nowhere and updated the sales for the PlayStation 2, adding 5 million onto it, bringing it up to 160 million. So that way it still kind of remains in the #1 spot. But at the rate things are going, it really does seem like the Nintendo Switch is going to end up outselling the PlayStation 2. The only thing that I think would stop it is the Nintendo Switch 2. If the Switch 2 comes out, there's a chance it could completely halt Nintendo Switch sales or just really reduce them to such a low amount that at that point, maybe they'll get up to 155 million and that's about it. But they do still need about 10 million units of the Nintendo Switch to sell. If they decide to drop the price, I'm going to assume that's what will push it over the edge. But we are going to move on to the next topic here, which talks about Elden Ring Nightreign and how From Software is confirming that they are not chasing trends here and it's not live service. From Software shocked most of its fans with the announcement of Elden Ring Nightreign, a standalone spin-off focused mainly on a new multiplayer experience that even includes some survival and battle royale elements. In an interview posted on PC Gamer's February 2025 magazine, issue 405, the game director, Junya Ishizaki, talks about how this is not them chasing a trend. The focus was condensing the experience down, the RPG elements, the exploration, the character building and leveling. We wanted that to feel like it was all coming together and culminating in a boss fight, but in a more concentrated form. For this new sense of accomplishment that you wouldn't quite find with Elden Ring or our previous titles, we felt like we needed some new mechanics and some new elements to add into that mix. We've never really held the stance, let's absolutely not do anything that other companies are doing or not follow any trends. So we didn't really see this as chasing a trend, but we saw these as interesting elements that could work well within our multiplayer-focused, session-based gameplay. Elden Ring Nightreign hasn't been designed as a live service game either. On this topic, he explains, we wanted to have a game that felt like a complete package out of the box on the day of purchase, so everything is unlockable. It's not what we would consider a live service game. We're still in the process of thinking about the possibilities for post-launch content. And then it says here, players will be able to approach each session differently according to the game director. We wanted the map itself to be a giant dungeon, so players had the chance to traverse and explore a different way every time they play. You have to choose the boss you want to face at the end of the third day. Once you've made that choice, maybe you've had an idea of how you want to strategize against that boss, and this might change how you approach the map. We wanted to offer players that agency to decide, I need to go after a poison weapon this time to face this boss. So, yeah, just some more information on Elden Ring Nightreign. This is a game I'm personally really looking forward to, and I know that many of you are as well. So there you go. They're not chasing trends, according to the director. It's not going to be a live service game, but it is going to play very differently from Elden Ring and previous From Software titles. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it informative. If you did, be sure to leave it a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share this video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.